Another topic, types of samadhi, types of concentration. Throughout the retreat, I think we mentioned the term a few times, and we briefly mentioned the different types of samadhis. So sometimes the term is lots of misunderstanding of the term, lots of misconceptions. So we are going to try to look, at least from the sutta's point of view, the different types of samadhis and why are people so confused or so fascinated by these various types of samadhis. Okay, so I got this from this Anguttara Nikaya. There's this, Samadhi Sutta. Yeah, Samadhi Sutta. So the Buddha mentioned there are 4 types of samadhis, 4 different types. They are not like the same. Some people confuse and they think they are related or whatever. Okay, so the first one, first type of samadhi, if you practice the first time, the objective is to have some kind of pleasant abiding, some nice experience. So that's the first type. We call it the jhana kind of samadhi. Yeah, the jhana type of samadhi. The second type of samadhi is to develop this higher knowledge. Develop this higher knowledge. So we talk about perceiving the light. So that's the second type of samadhi. The third type of samadhi leads to the right mindfulness, mindfulness and alertness. So this one is got to do with observing impermanence. And the fourth type has to do with when a person is liberated. When the practice number 3, the vipassana, until they fully detach, then they will develop the 4th type of samadhi. So the 4th type is reserved only for enlightened beings. Yeah? But in order to reach number 4, we have to do number 3. So that's the whole idea. Okay, so I'm going to go through one by one. 1, 2, 3, or 4. There's lots of misconceptions. Some people think doing jhanas equals to enlightenment, or doing jhanas equals to higher knowledge, or doing jhanas equals to something else. Or some people think, having higher knowledge means enlightenment, something like that. So there are some people who can combine. For example, the Buddha will do everything. So the Buddha has all of this. Some people just maybe do partial. Maybe for my retreat, not so much on number 2, maybe more of maybe 1, 3, and hopefully maybe eventually can reach number 4. Yeah? So that's the strategy. Okay, so we are going to look at each type one by one. So the first one is this jhana. So we've been through the so-called factors. So because there are so many suttas, so some suttas will have a bit more factors than the others. But generally we still stick to the 4 or 5 factors. So we have this directed thought, evaluation, joy, pleasure, right? So all of these jhanas, we have singleness of mind, singleness of mind. So sometimes the post-canonical version, they introduce terms like this momentary concentration, then have this SS concentration, then the jhanas were full concentration, something like that. So they introduce these new terms. It's a bit like consolation prize. Those who don't have jhanas, they say, okay, at least you have some kind of concentration, consolation prize. I'm not sure about other traditions, but in the Thai tradition, because jhanas is not really mentioned, not really mentioned. So sometimes they use the commentarial terms. Either you have access or momentary concentration. So a lot of the monks are maybe very humble, and they don't want to say they have full concentration. So they might not know which level they are in, but they just say, oh, okay, maybe momentary or maybe assess. Yeah, if they sit longer, maybe full full concentration, but they do not know which level. So that's the issue in that. And even if they try to explain, usually it's more theoretical point of view. Okay, so these are the full set of jhanas, full set of so-called the four form jhanas and the four formless concentration. So total 8. So the first 4 everybody know from the bottom. Then 5 will be called infinite space, perception of infinite space. Number 6 is perception of infinite consciousness. Number 7, this realm of nothingness. And number 8, neither perception nor non-perception. So these are the 8 levels of, we call it concentrations, right? So this method, interestingly, I would say is a pre-Buddhist method, but this classification is probably only found in Buddhism. If let's say you would ask a Hindu yogi, they may not know of this classification. They have their own classification. Yeah, they have their own classification. So in the Buddha's time, no teacher taught him the first 4 jhanas. The Buddha's time, nobody taught him the first 4 jhanas. So the first teacher that taught him, Alara Kalama, taught him this realm of nothingness, which is number 7. Pretty high, but there's no like step by step to reach number 7. This straight away is a perception of nothingness. So one the sutta gave like example of how to practice this nothingness. You go to an empty environment and you perceive nothing. There's nobody there, no one around, nothing. Everything is empty, nothing, nothing. Then if you keep on repeating this perception, you might enter this perception of nothingness. So that's how they do it. So there's no systematic 1, 2, 3, 4 and stuff like that. So it's straight away number 7. So there are some meditation objects which go to certain levels of concentration without a sequence. So the next teacher that the Buddha learned from, Uddaka Ramaputta, taught him this neither perception or non-perception. So the same thing, straight away enter that kind of perception. So the Buddha didn't know how to release from that. Do not know how to release from that because it's just, to him, it's one-dimensional. Right? So afterwards, the Buddha tried this ascetic practice to torture himself. Right? He did all the fasting and whatever not for 6 years. Couldn't find enlightenment. And when he decided to feed himself, get back strength and health, he decided to walk the middle path. So when he sort of exploring the middle path, he recollect when he was a child, he entered the first jhana as a child. Nobody teach him. He entered himself, first jhana as a child, sitting under the tree. Maybe according to the story, he ponteng this flying festival, and then he sat under the tree, watched the breath, and he entered the first jhana. So he was thinking, okay, let's try this route. So he entered the first jhana, and he's able to sequentially enter the second, the third, the fourth, and so on. So of course, some suttas mention after the fourth, he was seeing the past lives of himself and other beings. So some people assume, oh, okay, jhanas equals to seeing past life because of this sutta. Jhana is more like the battery, and seeing past life is a bit more like the tape recorder. You're like watching the video recorder of the past events. So you're using up the battery. So it's a different device, but anyway, if you compare with other suttas, the Buddha actually reached enlightenment through going through all these 5, 6, 7, 8, and go beyond 8. He went to cessation. That's when he discovered the third noble truth, cessation. and then from there he understood the Four Noble Truths. So that is the pathway which the Buddha took. Okay, so this one. Does jhanas equals to no thinking? And does jhanas equals to no thinking? So in this Jhana Sutta, again in the Anguttara Nikaya, each level of concentration requires reflection. So I just only take one example, one of the concentration, called this dimension of infinite space. So that's the fifth level of concentration. So when he enters and remains in the dimension of infinite space, he regards whatever phenomenon there that are connected with the feeling, perception, fabrication, consciousness as inconstant, impermanent. Of course, they give a whole list of reflections. You may or may not want to do all of them. Stressful, disease, cancer, arrow, painful, affliction, alien, disintegration, emptiness, not self. A whole list. So for us, very simple, just think of impermanence. Just use impermanence will do. So lots of thinking. Okay, so this one. And like mentioned, if jhanas alone, without insight, won't lead to liberation. And won't lead to liberation. So jhanas alone is more like recharging the battery. Okay, so the second one, higher knowledge and vision. So the second type of samadhi require the attention of this perception of light. Perception of light. So for maybe certain meditation system, maybe they require you to see past life and all those things. Then it's a must for you to see white light. So it's the requirement. I must see light. And you need to do this for a long time, whole day and night, according to at least the sutta, whole day and night. Perception of daytime. For day for him is the same as night. Night is the same as day. So whole day you have to see light. Maybe some people might have sleeping problem after this, cannot sleep. Okay, so this to develop a brightened mind. So if you want to cross-compare with another sutta, Iddhipada Vibhanga Sutta, it will have a whole list of visualization exercises for development. So besides bright light, then the 32 parts of the body and so on. Yes, the whole list, Iddhipada Vibhanga Sutta. So currently this perception of light is still under the Samadhi Sutta. Okay, so what kind of higher knowledge are we talking about? So in Buddhism, we say there are 6 types of higher knowledge. So first one, we have this higher power, this called Iddhi Vida, such as flying the air, walking through the walls, walking on water, diving through the earth, all those kind of fantastic superhero stuff. So that's the first ability. Second one, divine ear or clairaudience. So you hear long range or hear beings from other realms, right? So that's the second one. And the third one, mind penetrating knowledge or telepathy. You want to know the thoughts or the minds of other beings. So that's the third type. And the fourth one, remembering former past lives. So if you recollect past life, that's one higher knowledge. Then the next one, divine eye, seeing other beings or maybe seeing other beings' past lives also. So that's the 5. We call this 5 mundane higher knowledges, worldly knowledges. Then there's a 6th one. The 6th one is extinction of mental intoxicants. So the 6th one is reserved for enlightened beings. Only enlightened beings are the 6th one. So the first 5, why we call it mundane? Because any practitioner or non-practitioner who is not interested in enlightenment can develop the first 5. Can develop the first 5. For example, I don't know, maybe demons are born with the first 5. They don't need to meditate. They just reborn. They have all these things already. They can fly. They can do all those stuff. Mara also has all these abilities. That's for other realm beings. How about the human realm? I've watched maybe some documentaries regarding the Cold War, between the US and Russia. Last time they have this program called remote viewing. So some spies with certain maybe psychic abilities, they're trained to further enhance them. So they can just sit in their base. They don't have to cross into enemy's territory. They can just visualize, and they can know the coordinates of the enemy. And they can draw on the map, and later they can bomb the place. Right? So they can develop this, but they can use it for non-wholesome reasons. So that's for mundane usage. So let's say in the Buddhist community again, is a very divisive topic. I wouldn't say divisive, polarizing opinion. Some masters encourage people to develop them. Some masters don't encourage. So for example, maybe in the Thai tradition, maybe the Ajahn Chah side, maybe he's more towards the wisdom type of practice. So I recalled one story which I came across. Some student mentioned they see this bright light in meditation. So he asked Ajahn Chah, I see bright light in meditation. What does it mean? Or what does it stand for? So Ajahn Chah took out his torchlight and then he shine at the person. Right? He's like trying to say, okay, my torchlight also has light. So what do you want to make out of it? Right? So he's more of the reflection kind. He's not really interested in those phenomenon. But maybe for the Dhammayut side, more of the metaphysical and supernatural stuff. Maybe for the founder of the forest tradition, Thai forest tradition, Ajahn Man, if you read his autobiography, it talks about his encounters with all the unseen beings, you see the bright light and so on. So that's his path of practice. But a bit controversial. There's sometimes, according to the story, he even see the Buddha come down and stuff like that. Maybe some cultural syncretism, spiritism, and so on. Some teachers, for example, Ajahn Lee, another forest tradition master, also encourages supernatural kind of sights, supernatural ability. Maybe Ajahn Jeff is also following him. But Ajahn Jeff has another teacher, Long Po Fong. So Long Po Fong is against this practice. Even though he's claimed to have certain abilities, but he discourages his practitioners from seeing all those images. So there was this story of some meditators, like you all, come for retreat, then among yourselves, among the retreat participants, they claim to see lights in the meditation, or see lights. And in the monastery, there's also a Meichi. Meichi is a preceptor, this like a nun, stay in the monastery for a long time to help Long Po Fong. So she overheard the conversation. How come these people come for retreat a few days, can see lights already? I stay here for so long, I never see anything. Right, so she went to Ajahn Fong, Long Po Fong, and asked him, Long Po, dear Venerable, I heard these people can see lights in the meditation, but I stay here for so long, cannot see anything. So this Long Po Fong tell her, you are so fortunate. You cannot see anything. Right? Like for those people who see those images, can be very dangerous, can be very risky. So he's very worried for them. So first it could be not real, it could be our own random mental fabrications, just like how AI generated images can come up stuff, right? And next, if it's real, we call divine eye or potential divine eye, This one need guidance. If a person doesn't need guidance, they might search for all kinds of nonsense. Okay, so that's the danger part. So that's the story. So it's a polarizing opinions from different masters. So for me, I'm the play safe type. I'm the play safe type. So in my routine, don't do it. But if you have a master or teacher that specializes in this and they know how to guide you, then by all means, you can. Okay, so this Idipada, 4 bases of psychic power, can lead to this suspended animation. Like some people think, hey, you meditate, don't need to breathe, don't need to eat. So this one requires this one, Idipada, 4 bases of psychic power. So those who are very engrossed in the visualization meditation, they enter into very deep so-called absorptions, have certain mastery, then the person might be able to sort of perform such miracles. Okay, so we can find this in the Mahaparinibbana Sutta also. So the Buddha was hinting to Venerable Ananda that anybody who has mastered these 4 bases of psychic power could extend their lifespan, to 1 eon. I don't know how long is that 1 eon, but that's the sutta. So of course, Venerable Ananda didn't get the clue and didn't request the Buddha to stay on. But in India now, in the so-called modern day India, there are still yogis or rishis or siddhis. They are practicing such things. So they meditate, and the hermits, they practice these psychic abilities. So one of the more contemporary, more modern yogis that is kind of published on the papers that caught my attention when I was a junior monk. So when I was staying in Malaysia, we had the Malaysian star paper, right? So I came across this yogi, Prahlad Jani. Look at the background, that fella, yeah? He passed away, I think, quite recently. When he was still alive, he claimed that he could fast. He doesn't need to eat or drink at all, whole day, no eating or drinking for 60, 70 years. 60 or 70 years, no eating and drinking. No eating and drinking. So this one is miracle. So according to the interview, when I go back and did my research, I Google and watch all the interviews, he claimed that when he was meditating, this certain deity approached him and tell him, from now on, you don't have to eat and drink anymore. And that's it. And he doesn't need to eat and drink. So he was like kind of poor thing, being experimented by the Indian scientists, put in a hospital, camera everywhere for 1 week, and like a guinea pig, they need to draw his blood, every, don't know what occasion, or test his vital organ and so on. So that's the experiment. So anyway, that incident of the deity approaching him is very similar to the Buddha's life story when he was doing his fasting, right, his ascetic practice. Certain deities offered to infuse heavenly honey to the Buddha's skin. But the Buddha refused. So he did the hard way and tried to fast. Imagine if the Buddha accepted, and the Buddha don't need to go for alms round. No need to eat anymore. So that's the story. Okay, so does jhanas equals to psychic power? And does jhanas equal to psychic power? So I'm going to compare with 2 case studies, 2 suttas regarding the same person, this Venerable Sariputta. So there's one sutta that the Buddha praised Venerable Sariputta for being able to do all the jhanas. So that's the Anupada Sutta. All the way to the formless concentration, neither perception or non-perception. So that's the first case study. So the Buddha acknowledged Venerable Sariputta to be able to do all the jhanas. And in the second case study, Venerable Sariputta kind of displayed the lack of psychic ability. So in this sutta talks about 2 monks, Venerable Sariputta and Venerable Moggallana. So Venerable Moggallana is a left-hand man, the left-hand disciple of the Buddha. Venerable Sariputta is the right-hand disciple of the Buddha. So Venerable Sariputta is the foremost in wisdom, and Venerable Moggallana is foremost in psychic power. So both of them are meditating in a cave, according to this Junha Sutta. So Venerable Moggallana is meditating inside the darkness of the cave, deep inside the cave, and Venerable Sariputta is meditating at the entrance of the cave, facing the sky, at the entrance, facing the open air, facing the sky. So in the story, it mentions two demons, two yakas flew past, and they saw this monk with a very shiny head. Maybe just shaved his head, so looked very shiny. So one of the yakas feel like the hand itchy, feel like smacking the head, feel like whacking the head of Venerable Sariputta. So he took out his club, his weapon, and hamtam the head of Venerable Sariputta. He whacked the head and flew off. So it's a hit and run incident. So what happened next was Venerable Moggallana quickly came out because he saw what happened as the divine art. So he saw what happened, quickly rushed out, asked Venerable Sariputta, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" And Venerable Sariputta is like, "I have a bit of headache. I do not know why. Just have a bit of headache." So Venerable Moggallana asked this Sariputta, "Did you see what happened? What happened?" What happened? So Venerable Moggallana had to tell him what happened. These two demons came, your head flew off. And Venerable Sariputta was surprised. And he answered, "How amazing, friend Moggallana! How astonishing! How great your power and might! When you saw the yaka just now, I didn't even see a dust devil. He didn't see a thing. He can't see." Right? So this is one of the case studies. Maybe some other case studies. I'm not sure which sutta, but there's an incident where Venerable Sariputta walked past his Venerable Bhaddiya. So Venerable Bhaddiya is a cousin of the Buddha, maybe newly ordained, and Venerable Bhaddiya. So he's a junior monk. So Venerable Bhaddiya has to pay respect to the senior monk, right? So he paid respect, bow down. Venerable Sariputta didn't know that Venerable Bhaddiya is already an arahant, already an enlightened being. So this Venerable Sariputta thought, since he's so humble, so respectful, and seems so sincere, maybe I should rouse him with a Dhamma talk, a Dhamma, to encourage him to practice. That's his intention. So he started giving him a lecture, giving him Dhamma talk. Then the Buddha walked past. The Buddha walked past and saw what happened. And he later on asked Venerable Sariputta to come over. And the Buddha told him, this Bhaddiya is already an arahant. You don't need to lecture him on how to rouse energy to practice. So that's the other case study. So Venerable Sariputta doesn't have this mind reading ability also. So that's for Venerable Sariputta. Oh, I skip all the steps. So the sutta mentions everything. First, second, third, fourth, fifth. Yeah, beyond, yeah. So it went to the first and all, everything, yeah. So the next one, thus, psychic powers equals to enlightenment. Maybe some of the more superstitious community, they hear say, oh, this certain monk, or this certain who attain enlightenment, then they'll test the person, use black magic, when poison the food, then they'll test the person. Or see whether the person can fly, or purposely you want to talk to the person, see whether you can read my mind or not. And purposely ask a question. You never answer, means you don't have mind reading ability. Some people will do this. So psychic powers doesn't equal to enlightenment. So there's this sutta called the Susima Sutta example. So Susima is actually a spy from another religion. A spy from another religion. So he wanted to know, how come Buddhism so successful? The monks growing, the devotees keep growing. So he wanted to know. So he went to ordain, become a monk became a Buddhist monk himself, right in front of the Buddha. So the Buddha approved of his ordination. So after he ordained, he was so happy, right? Then he wanted to do his spying. So over one corner, he heard a group of young monks declaring enlightenment. So he's so happy. He went to interview these enlightened monks. So he started to ask them, okay, can you see your past lives? And this enlightened monk said, no, cannot see past lives. Can you see other beings' past life? Also cannot. Right, so he asked all the questions, all the higher knowledges, divine ear, all those mind reading abilities and all those. And the enlightened monk said, don't have all this ability. So he was so disappointed. Then he went back to the Buddha. And asked the Buddha, how come your enlightenment like that one? No, don't have all these special powers. Then the Buddha taught him how to observe the 5 clinging aggregates and how to investigate dependent origination, the 12 links of dependent origination. So he eventually saw the Dhamma, saw the truth, or maybe got enlightened. So this time round, the Buddha asked him the same questions. Now, can you see your past life? And this Sushima was like, it cannot see past life. Then, can you see other people's past life? Also cannot. And can you fly, divine ear, mind reading, all those. So he said, also cannot. So he finally understood, then he asked forgiveness from the Buddha. So that's the story, right? All these psychic powers and all those flying, walking on water and stuff like that. So don't have. So higher knowledge is one thing, mundane higher knowledge. Enlightenment is a different thing. It's a different knowledge. Okay. So the next one has to do with mindfulness. So he talked about being mindful of impermanence. So a person keep on watching, right? All the feelings, the perceptions, how they arise and pass away. That's the third type of concentration. That's the third type of samadhi. So interestingly, vipassana and samadhi can be intertwined, interrelated. The context of samadhi or the definition of samadhi depends on which one you're using, is the same as vipassana. It's the same as vipassana, yes. This one is not jhanas here. So the jhana is the vipassana samadhi. But if we do the combined method, like the night you came, might be possible. Vipassana then enter to samadhi. So it's vipassana then convert to jhanas. Yeah, but this one is vipassana samadhi, different. So this vipassana samadhi is the one we are having, the theme of our retreat, which is the 7 factors of awakening. When they mention the term samadhi, is this samadhi, nothing to do with the jhanas. Okay, so again, revision 7 factors of awakening. So point number 6, right, the concentration of the samadhi, that's the impermanence part. If you keep on reflecting impermanence, the more you detach, it will enter this samadhi. And the last one, if a person continue to practice and reach liberation, then they'll have the 4th type of samadhi, right? So the ending of affluence. Okay. So they need to continually observe arising and passing of the 5 aggregates to achieve this. So that's the 4 types of samadhi mentioned. So I end my presentation. So in the 10 factors, the 10 defilements, only an arahant will not cling to the form and formless concentration. Only an arahant will not cling to the form and formless concentration because they have something better. They have something better. They have a new type of samadhi. They don't need to hold on. They don't need to be too. They won't miss. How come I cannot enter the jhanas? I want to, or if they enter it, I want to stay longer. So nice. They don't care. They have something better. If can enter life, cannot, never mind. It's okay. There's something better. Okay, so that's the conclusion. Any questions? Okay. It could be a natural ability if there are certain realm of beings or certain humans who have certain genetical disposition. Like let's say it's inherited, maybe the parents can see certain things, and the child also can maybe most likely might inherit certain traits. Yeah. Certain, I would say, potential, certain potential. We call it higher knowledge. It may not be through cultivation. Like maybe certain cultures, maybe like the Red Indians, they need to smoke certain thing, get high. When they lose their mindfulness or whatever it is, then they can see other realm. Then they in touch with the spirit, animal or whatever it is. Yeah? Remember Sariputan? No, Sariputan. Are you referring to Venerable Moggallana? Then I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Yeah, but he definitely did the visualizations. Yeah. Yeah, non-Buddhists also can achieve them. Yep. Nothing to do with non-Buddhist teachings. In fact they do. In fact they do. Yeah. Pre-Buddhist, before the Buddha's time, there were meditators, ascetics who have all these, the 5 higher knowledges. So one instance is right after the Buddha got enlightened, he was like approaching the Kassapa brothers, the fire ascetics. So there were 3 leaders. So each of them have their own, I would say, psychic abilities. So one of them could tame or was like controlling a naga in a cave, a fire serpent. So they had abilities, yeah. So he wanted to test the Buddha, ask the Buddha to stay in the cave and stuff like that. Yeah. Oh, okay. There are Buddhists who teach psychic abilities. So, like I mentioned, it's a polarizing opinion. Some teachers encourage it. Maybe for all traditions, Theravada traditions, polarizing. Mahayana also, there are some, especially like the Bodhisattva path. Some of them, if they want to follow like literally, some of them require you to, I don't know, maybe visit other Buddha lands and stuff like that. So that's psychic abilities. Yeah. Common practice. I don't think so. It's a tradition, different scripture, different tradition. Yeah. I won't say don't encourage. I would say different people have different contexts, different teachings. So if let's say a certain individual is already like psychic inclined, maybe before they met the Buddha, they already have these abilities. So the Buddha will make use of that Dhamma, that phenomenon to make them understand impermanence. Yeah. So for those who let's say don't have or not inclined to have, then the Buddha will teach other things like Oh, no, no. So like mentioned, these are two separate samadhis. Jhana is one thing. Visualizing light is another samadhi. So the Buddha, maybe he multitasked, he did both kinds of samadhis. So after the fourth jhana, then he investigated past lives. Okay, yes.
I know there's a different controversy about the jhanas. One is light.
Okay. 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 Very good question. I was about to talk about it in the next lesson, but since you brought it up, I'll answer it. Okay, this again is my personal opinion. My personal opinion. I would say there is a loss of transmission in the teachings. So a lot of at least the Theravada Buddhist meditation, they are reinvented in the 1800s, or at least in the 1800s, reinvented. That means there's no continual passing down from the Buddha's time all the way to the present moment. Maybe certain teachings, but in terms of jhanas, the jhana teaching, it's lost. It's kind of lost in transmission. So one example would be maybe a bit more historical kind of stuff would be like maybe the Western countries when they colonized certain Buddhist countries like Myanmar or Sri Lanka. They found out, and at least at that point of time, there is like a lot of syncretism with the folk religions there. So if we were compared to the countries that were not colonized, like maybe Thailand or Cambodia, a lot of spiritism, lots of animism, lots of like maybe black magic and amulets and everything, right? So when the so-called Western colonizers, started with the Myanmar and whatever, when they see the Burmese Buddhists practicing all these syncretic practices, the background, I know most of them would be Christian kind of background, right? So if they were to see people performing trance or black magic, this would seem very demonic or satanic, right? So the Buddhists over there, in order not to get further oppressed or destroyed or attacked by these Western colonizers, need to reform the Buddhist image. So some of them, some of the scholars, need to do something about it. So they refer to certain meditation manual and they revamp, so-called revamp Buddhism. So they started this Vipassana movement. Right? So, the pioneer, so-called Vipassana movement founders, so they kind of like reversed engineer based on a certain book. So that is their particular style. So in the pioneer batch, nobody taught jhanas first, at least from my understanding. Nobody taught jhanas first. Then maybe the subsequent generation, like maybe now the Pao tradition, then they want to completely use the meditation manual. Then there's a jhanas inside. Then and that manual itself a bit dubious, a bit contradictory with the suttas. So again, that's called the loss of transmission. So of course, I'm not saying that Buddhism is totally lost. There are certain teachings, certain Dhamma doors, which could lead to liberation. But in terms of jhanas, the jhana technique, it's kind of like missing, somewhere missing along in history. So that's my personal opinion. So the Thai tradition also the same thing, because the Thailand want to trade with these surrounding colonized countries. They need to again reform a certain image. So that's where they so-called founded the forest tradition. Like before that, there's no forest like that. And so they refounded this forest tradition. Basically, it's I would say it's a bit more like political move. So they kind of revamp a bit of the Vinaya inside the forest practice. And the founder, Long Pu Man, his method is just to recite Bhutto. And just to recite Bhutto, that's all. So for most of the Thai forest practitioners, the Bhutto is the Samatha practice, and the Vipassana is the impurities of the body meditation. So there's no like system based on the Visuddhi Magga or anything. So it's like on their own. It's like on their own thing. Yeah. So again, this is cultural and historical influence that affect these different countries. Same, when Buddhism go to whichever country, when they syncretize, then they'll have a bit of mixture. So maybe Mahayana have a bit of influence from Taoism and Confucianism. So like the equipment they use for chanting, it comes from Taoism actually. Yeah.
What's your view on the West? Because now they mix it with the psychology and other things. Do you think it is which direction?
The West, okay. I would say, my personal opinion, I believe in the chaos theory. There's perfection in messiness. So we leave things be because everywhere, every community has their different supply demand. So you cannot impose your current set of beliefs on everybody. It's impossible. Everybody have their own understanding, their own needs. So we let things run. It's like free market. Yeah? So we let things run naturally. Yeah. Okay.
Such things happen with us. So, is there a way to counteract this?
Counteract this? I have no idea. I have no idea how to counteract. If it's there, it's there. So the only way is to learn how to live with it, detach. So that's the more holistic solution. Learn to understand whatever phenomena they perceive as part of the 5 clinging aggregates. Keep on reflecting on impermanence. Yeah. Yeah, correct. The main thing is you don't get too affected. So if let's say the vision they see are other realm beings, the way to protect yourself is still your own merits, your precept, you keep them well, you do lots of good deeds, and that's about it. Okay.
Regarding your steps to concentration, you will give me a cessation first, then your concentration starts.
That is if you combine the Vipassana together. Yeah, the 2-in-1, yes. So you do the cessation reduction of this craving. Yeah, then that would, however low you reduce the craving to your so-called maximum level, that will be your baseline level, baseline emotion.
So you will enter straight into Samadhi after that?
You enter first the Vipassana Samadhi. So some people experience the equanimity from the Vipassana first, and if they are not familiar with the Jhana Samadhi, they will just stick to that, and they cannot experience any. Yeah. So that's why we do it separately. We do the jhanas first, the samatha, the pure samatha route to let you differentiate the different levels of jhanas, followed by the vipassana. So at least you can differentiate the different quality of the equanimity or the quality of emotions. Then from there, then you know how to make your way there.
Stupid question. How can I differentiate in a practice? This is Vipassana jhana in perspective. This is jhana.
Okay. Probably you missed the lesson on the pure samatha part. So maybe we might do it in this session and see how far we can go. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions?
Second one, from higher knowledge, the sixth higher knowledge is the revelation, so it's also Just one, two,
Two is not compulsory, just like in the Susima Sutta.
six.
The number 6 can be achieved actually by the third kind of samadhi, by reflecting impermanence, then they will clear the defilements. So that would be the 6th higher knowledge. So without even having the first 5 higher knowledge. Yeah. And without having the second type of samadhi. Okay. Any other questions?
Number 4.
Yeah.
You say only Arahant has.
Yeah.
So is it a perception of nirvana or is it cessation of perception?
It could be both. It could be both. Because once the cessation would be the transition point, especially after they're doing the neither perception, non-perception, and they release that. So that would be the cessation of this perception and feeling. But once they experience that state of, I would say, a new type of consciousness, it's always there, it's like persistently there, passively there all the time, continuously there, parallel with our our 5 clinging evidence. So it's effortless for them. They can like do normal things, can walk, can talk, but they are always in samadhi. It's an effortless kind of samadhi. Don't have to sit down, close your eyes. So you can refer that in the Mahashunyata Sutta. Mahashunyata Sutta. So the Buddha was having a conversation with Venerable Ananda, and the Buddha mentioned that if he has time to sit down, he will enter the jhanas. But if he has no time to do his formal sitting, the mind is naturally in another kind of samadhi. And that enlightened, for enlightened beings, that natural samadhi would be this one, the 4th one. The type of consciousness that has no rising and passing. Okay, only when a person enlightened, then they'll understand. So try not to crack your brain and try to feel, what's the logic behind this? It's like that. It's like that. Okay, any other questions? Okay, I'm just using the purely impermanence method. So next lesson we'll cover it. Next lesson we'll cover it. So yes, so to give some context, so Sister Christine and myself learned from this branch under this late Venerable Amata Gavesi, which is from a Sri Lankan tradition. So again, like I mentioned, all the Theravada system today is reinvention. So this late Venerable Amata Gavesi, according to the story, because he ordained maybe in the 1900s, 1900s. So when he ordained, he found out that nobody around him know to meditate. Because Sri Lankan chose the scholarly route at that time. The government, they chose the scholarly route. So maybe not much meditators. So he found out nobody know how to meditate. So he made an aspiration. He went to a cave, went to meditate, and make an aspiration. May he receive help. So according to the story, some guardian devas came and taught him this technique. So their vipassana technique also a bit related to the post-canonical manual. So I don't want to refer it too much. Yeah. So like you need to do walking meditation first for the vipassana, see rising and falling and that kind of stuff. So I don't want to go to that route. Yes, you can do that route, but the main contribution would be, I would say, the rediscovery, or maybe from his point of view, the rediscovery of the jhanas. So from the late Venerable Amata Gavesi. So maybe the guardian devas, I would say it's like a cloud storage. If the human realm mess up the thing, they lose the knowledge. At least there's some cloud drive, some heavenly beings save the knowledge and come down to maintain. Yeah. So that's my understanding.
Actually, you actually once you do the very sensation, you must do a number of times before you can really make the jhana.
To differentiate the factors. To differentiate the factors.
Means you are unstable, you cannot enter. That means you have not mastered your sensation, you cannot enter jhana.
Not necessary. If the person is not doing the combination method, they just do the pure samatha, they also can enter the jhanas. Yeah. That means they don't think of the impermanence first. No, for a routine, we just wish well and happy until the mind settle down, then they release. Yeah.
It is no right to practice this way.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. Okay, any other questions? Okay, if there's no issues, then we can start. We can try the pure samatha route with the breath meditation. Okay, so we find our comfortable posture, comfortable position. Make sure the back is upright and the rest of the body relaxed. Okay, and for those who are settled down, and we start off by finding our breath body, and basically the area of attention where you want to feel the in and out breathing. So it can be at any spot of the body. It can be below the nostril, above the upper lip, or if you're not suited, let's say you have blocked nose or whatever reason, you can use other areas. You can use the abdomen or even your entire rib cage or your whole body. So you determine one spot, and we don't change afterwards. So once you have selected your so-called breath body, then we're going to stick with it, and we're going to observe the inhalation, exhalation. Natural breathing in and out by itself, reflex action, no controlling. And we add some Buddhistic elements to this practice. We're going to add right thought. So whenever there's inhalation, we wish the breath well. Exhalation, we wish the breath happy. So that's making the breath more pleasurable. Or we're learning to make peace with the breath. So in no way we are controlling or manipulating the breath. We are not training the breath, we're actually taming the mind. So we first make peace. Inhale well, exhale happy. And we keep repeating. Every time inhale, wish it well. Exhale, wish the breath happy. Till you are in tune with the breath body and not distracted by any other thing. And if you wish, you can observe how the mind settles down, how the mental fabrications created by craving, how this reduce, how it diminish, or how it settle down, and we keep on wishing the in and out breath well and happy. So observe the process of sedimentation, not forgetting the cause. That means to apply the right thought, inhale well, exhale happy. So for those who just joined in, we are watching the in and out breath, wishing it well and happy for the mind to settle down. So for those who are settling, you need to find your current maximum level of settlement. The mind will settle down to a point where it cannot settle even further. So we keep on wishing the in and out breath well and happy, that's the emphasis. But at the sidelines, we take note of the settling of mind states. So initially, when there's more craving, we call this a scattered mind. The more you try to unify the mind, wish it well and happy, and that's the not so scattered mind. Collect the mind to like one area, one location. You don't have to pull or do anything. It will naturally fall back in place by itself. Huh? Just keep on emphasizing or wishing in out breath, well and happy. Okay, for those who are still following, if the mind has quite settled down, the rate of settling is like negligible, then that would be your baseline emotion, neutral baseline emotion. So we continue to familiarize ourselves with that baseline level. Emphasis is on wishing the in and out breath well and happy. And at the sidelines, we take note of this emotion. Or optionally, you can detect the location and shape of this not so scattered mind, and that's optional. Huh? But the main thing is the emotion. Okay, and once you've taken note of this emotion, and the mind is quite settled down, and it's the two criteria we need to have. Whenever you think you are ready, then we can release the mind, make a wish to release the mind, just like letting go of a spring or letting go of a balloon. And once we let go of the mind, we observe any change in the emotion. And if possible, any change in the shape of the mind. Okay, you experience the neutral emotion as transformed to be something more pleasant. That's the indicator you have spring successfully. Huh? So for those that spring successfully, multitask, take note of the emotion and reach the in and out breath well and happy. For the mind to settle down. Keep on rowing the boat, reach the in and out breath well and happy. Okay, then for those who are quite settled down, then we can familiarize ourselves with the first level. Emphasis is on reaching the in and out breath well and happy. And at the sidelines, we take note of this emotion. And if you are a bit more sensitive, um, you can take note of the mind states. So the attention to the in-out breathing, that's one location of the mind. The mind settling down or the craving settling down, that's another location. The first jhana itself, the state of first jhana, is a different location also, 3 locations. 3 locations and shape. So these are side indicators, and the main indicator are still the jhana factors, the emotions mainly. But if you wish, then you can so-called feel this emotion will have a certain radius. Towards the perimeter of the emotion, it will form the shape of this first jhana. For those who are a bit sluggish, you might need to increase the rate of reflection. In and out breath, well and happy. Okay, then we make sure we fulfill two criteria. First criteria, the mind is calm and settled down due to the right thoughts. Second criteria, we've taken note of the emotion on the first level. So in theory, the first level will have initial thinking, sustained thinking, joy, and happiness. So at this point of time, it's all lumped together. You cannot differentiate them now, doesn't matter. Whenever you're ready, then we can make a wish to let go of the first level, just like letting go of a spring or letting go of a balloon. And once we have released the mind, we just let it evolve naturally by itself. We just observe any change in the emotion. And optionally, if you want to feel the shape of the mind, by all means, become a different shape. Okay, you start to experience this pleasant emotion getting more stronger or more distinct. That's the indicator of the second level due to the disappearance of this initial and sustained cluttering thought processes. So we're going to multitask, take note of the emotion and the in and out breath, well and happy, for the mind to settle down. And if you find your mind quite settled down, then we can familiarize ourselves with the second level. Emphasis is on in and out breath, wishing the breath well and happy. And at the sidelines, we take note of the emotion. And if your mind is a bit more sensitive, you want to take note of the shape of the second level, or how the craving has settled down. Again, same 3 locations. Okay, and make sure we fulfill 2 criteria. The first criteria, the mind is calm and settled down due to the right thoughts. Second criteria, we've taken note of the emotion of the second level. So in theory, there's only 2 factors, joy and happiness. So whenever you are ready, then you can make a wish to let go of the second level, just like letting go of a spring or letting go of a balloon. And once you have released the mind, you observe any change in the emotion, and optionally, if you can, also the shape of the mind. And if you experience a different pleasant emotion, that means the joy has disappeared, and that will be the indicator for the third level. So it's now left with happiness. Huh? So again, we multitask, we take note of the emotion, and we wish the in and out breath well and happy for the mind to settle down. Okay, for those who are quite settled down, then we can familiarize ourselves with the third level. Emphasis is on wishing the in and out breath well and happy. And just keep rolling the boat, no matter how calm, how turbulent. Then at the sidelines, you take note of the emotion. And optionally, the shape of the mind. Okay, then we make sure we fulfill two criteria. First criteria, the mind is calm and settled down due to the right thoughts. And the second criteria, we take note of the emotion of the third level. So in theory, there's still two factors, happiness and a bit of this equanimity. So whenever you are ready, we can let go of the third level, just like letting go of a spring or a balloon. And once we have released the mind, we observe any change in the emotion and optionally the shape. Okay, let's say the happiness has disappeared. What will be left will be a kind of neutral but refreshing kind of experience. So we call that equanimity. It's indicator of the fourth level. So we're going to multitask, take note of this emotion of equanimity, and keep on wishing the in and out breath well and happy for the mind to settle down. Okay, the mind is quite settled down. Then we familiarize ourselves with the fourth level. Emphasis is always on the right thought, right effort. Keep on wishing the in and out breath well and happy. And the sidelines, you take note of the emotion of equanimity. Okay, so this is just a temporary boost of this mindfulness. As long as you maintain the right thought, right effort, then you can sustain. Once you let the mind autopilot, then all the hindrances will come. Okay, then we can make use of this state of mind, whether you want to do it restricted or open awareness. You can investigate impermanence, either impermanence of the in and out breathing or impermanence of the six senses. And the whole idea is keep labeling impermanence part of right thought. And the observation, your evidence, will be the mindfulness, and right mindfulness. Okay, so it's about 10:43. I leave you to self-practice until whatever time you wish.